Good morning, everybody, and a happy Wednesday morning to you. There's a lot to cover because we've got some controversies, two separate controversies, but we're going to cover those. So let's just jump right in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off this morning with Duchess Sophie. I just love her. She was in Ukraine at the restoration of the conflict-related sexual violence survivors' rights conference. She had been invited there by the First Lady of Ukraine, Miss Zelensky, who we know who she is. And she recently saw the Queen at Clarence House as the war that she's involved in passed its 2-year anniversary. Never one for mincing words. Sophie said that, and we know the R word. Let's be clear, it's illegal and it is pure evil. I think we all agree on that. She pointed out that the men and women, yes, men, who have recounted their experiences of what they went through, appalling atrocities. And she said, and I'm quoting, "This conference is an important opportunity to ensure that those survivors are not forgotten, to shine a spotlight on their bravery, and the need to ensure that justice and accountability are upheld." Absolutely bravo. Couldn't have said it better myself. Moving on to the Duke of Kent. This man is 88 years old, and he's done more in the last year and a half than I think Meghan did the whole time she was in the royal family. He attended a service of Thanksgiving, which marks 200 years of the Royal Navy Lifeboat Institution, the RNLI. He is the charity's president. Over 1,800 people were inside the Abbey. There were people there from the RNLI life-saving communities from the UK, from Ireland, and the service, it's being reported, took place at the same time that the founding papers were originally created 200 years ago. How cool is that? Just as an FYI, it's being reported that they have saved over 144,000 lives since 1824. They now run 237 lifeboat stations, over 237 lifeboat stations, and they have 220 beach lifeguard units. Amazing. Sir Tim Lawrence, because Anne is in Dubai, was also seen entering the Abbey. He is the vice president of the RNLI, and he read a prayer during the service. When the service was over, the Duke of Kent signed a scroll that is going to go on a tour of all of the RNLI stations, which I think is pretty cool. When the service was over, the Duke of Kent went outside to inspect some of the boats. This first boat you're looking at is oar-powered. It was built in 1909 and remained in service until 1931. This second boat is one of the RNL's all-weather lifeboats. I think that's pretty cool. When the day was over, he wasn't done because the Duke of Kent is also patron of the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and he attended a concert at the Royal Festival Hall. Wow, he's very spry. Good for him. You all should know that when Sir Tim Lawrence went into the Abbey, everybody noticed that he had a black eye. And of course, people reached out. The Sussex squad went nuts with that one. Apparently, it was a gardening mishap. Moving on. We are going to move on to Catherine, the Princess of Wales. It's being reported that at the end of February, she got Lieutenant Colonel Tom White to lead her staff as the private secretary. And people are saying on social media that he looks like Roger Federer, the tennis star. I don't see that, but okay. All right, I take that back because that's Roger Federer up ahead on the right. So yeah, I guess he does kind of look like him, whatever. Anyway, this guy is not new to the royal household. He used to work as Queen Elizabeth's equerry before she passed away. And he was with her at Trooping the Color in 2021 and at the Windsor Horse Show. So, he's been around for a while. He greeted Boris Johnson before at Balmoral in 2022. FYI, this guy's a bona fide war hero. He was in Afghanistan in 2009 and he helped stop a school bombing by the Taliban. Yeah. So he joined the Buckingham Palace team in 2020, and he was at Princess Catherine, inaugural Shaping Us Up symposium in London. So, yeah, good for him. Way to go. Manpower. Moving on. Still sticking with Catherine, I want to talk about this. This is very controversial. Apparently, Catherine was with her mother. Her mother was driving the car, and I think a lucky paparazzi just happened to look up, and here was Catherine. I think they were driving the kids to and from school, trying to keep things normal for the children. And somebody spotted her in the car, and they snapped a picture. So right off the bat, the UK did not print any of these pictures because, let's be honest, guys, Catherine simply asked for a few months off to recover from her surgery. That's all she asked for. And she's well deserving of that privacy. And yet the pictures were taken. They were all over Twitter. They were splattered all over everywhere, but not in the UK. And you know what? This is why I have blocked out her face. She is entitled to her privacy. This is just insane. And of course, it was put up on Twitter that Kensington Palace arranged this. They did not. Leave her alone. By the way, for those of you who may not realize that these pictures, as I said, were all over Twitter, I did not post these pictures on Twitter. Nope. Now, moving on. Moving on to Sarah Ferguson and the rest of the family, I did discuss with my Patreon people that a few people were in Bahrain, but apparently a lot of the family was in Bahrain. So the Duchess of York, Sarah, was offering Christian Horner some, I think, words of encouragement when they got caught up together at the Grand Prix. Now, God knows what she's saying to him, because for those of you who don't know it, this is the boss of Red Bull. He was in the middle of a scandal. He sent some WhatsApp messages to a female colleague that were of a flirtatious nature. The woman leaked them, so he and his wife showed up, hand in hand, and gave each other a kiss and put on a show. But he was cleared of inappropriate behavior in the workplace. Now, I had also reported it didn't look like they were on a private or a chartered jet. I mean, look at the size of this, but then you see who's getting off, and you have to wonder, because a lot of people were on that jet. You had Zara Tindall, you had Mike Tindall, you had Eugenie, you had Jack Brooksbank, you had Jeremy Clarkson, you had Madonna's son, there he is, Rocco Ritchie is his name. In the black sweater, she's some model. She's dating Rocco Ritchie. Also spotted there was the Duke of Richmond. Yeah, so I'm beginning to think that this might have been a private jet. They were also on the jet with billionaire insurance mogul David Howden. Now, of course, Mike was joking around with Jack and was messing around with him. Anyway, so yeah, there were a lot of stars on this plane. So where I said it wasn't a private jet, it very well may have been. Maybe it was owned by the billionaire, and he was kind enough, because there were so many people going, and they weren't all obviously royal family, because you had Jeremy Clarkson on there and his girlfriend, and Rocco Ritchie and her his girlfriend, and so they weren't all wealthy people. So maybe he said, listen, I'm going, do you guys want to go with, and jump on my jet and let's go. Anyway, it looks like everybody had a really super duper good time. Good for them. All right, let's move on. Next up, Worcester Cathedral announced that Queen Camilla will be there on Maundy Thursday, which is March 28th, as they're going to host the Royal Maundy service. And this year, because of the King's cancer treatment, it is Camilla who will be handing out the gifts this year. Oh, what a beautiful cathedral. Moving on. Next up, I showed this to my Patreon people yesterday, but I had to show it, you guys. I'm sorry. This is a statue outside of a restaurant in Argentina. If that doesn't show you that the global humiliation is complete, I don't know what does. My goodness. Moving on. Let's move on to Meghan, because this is just ridiculous. Okay. So there is the South by Southwest Festival, which is also referred to as XSSW. And this is a festival that celebrates technology, film, music, education, and culture. It takes place in Austin, Texas, March 8th through the 16th. And at the last minute, Meghan Markle was named as one of the keynote speakers next to Brooke Shields, Katie Couric, and pop culture expert Nancy Wang Yan. There's a lot of really big names here. So I think this is going to be very interesting to see what happens, because her usual word salad is not going to go over well with these women, let me tell you. All right, so what we found out as we went on through this is that Meghan's session, when she speaks, is going to focus on, quote, how the ubiquitous nature of social media is creating an often dangerous environment, which has led to serious mental health issues for teenage children in particular. No, I'm not kidding. So in other words, if you don't want to go listen to her speak, you don't have to. So Katie Couric, when she speaks, could have 10,000 people there. And when Meghan talks, there might be 500 people there. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. We know it doesn't take a genius to figure out that WME set this up. And the first thing everybody noticed was that Meghan, who was just added, these other women were already there. Meghan, of course, got top billing, and they used her title, the Duchess of Sussex. Now, she's going to do the opening day keynote, which falls on International Women's Day. I got to be honest, if anybody's going there, unbelievable. This session is called Breaking Barriers, Shaping Narratives, How Women Lead On and Off the Screen. And yeah. Anyway, you can see that it was presented by Archwell. That means it was paid for. Now, the backlash has appeared. Comments were left saying, why? Meghan contributes nothing but empty words. Another person said, grifter, it's a pass for me. Will she discuss how she is a narcissist? And somebody else wrote, what a joke. Vapid blather guaranteed. In other words, word salad. People are pointing out that you can't be a feminist while you allow your fans to troll the Prince of Wales the way that they do. It's very obvious that Harry and Meghan are aware of them. We know that they've called them in the past, but they won't say anything or do anything to stop them. If anything, it shows that Meghan's a hypocrite. Yep, absolutely. In the meantime, another blind item came out saying that no one wants to watch this panel because what people care about there is the movies and the concerts. And a few years ago, she would have wanted the solo spot. Yeah, she's not the biggest name on the panel. I agree. Moving on. Moving on to Petty Mordaunt, I discussed her in my Patreon yesterday, a different topic. She is now claiming that she sent Meghan Markle a necklace made by human trafficking survivors, and she got absolutely no response from her. Unbelievable, but yet not. Penny says that she sent it as a gesture of support when she was new to the royal family, and she was working at the time with a charity called Eden, who teaches jewelry making skills to women in Myanmar, Southeast Asia, who survive human trafficking. Apparently, other members of parliament also reached out to Meghan without any success. Now, I think her next words were very prophetic. She said, and I'm quoting, I wanted to demonstrate to her the opportunity that she had and what she could potentially do, but she never responded. I mean, I think that, says it up right there. All right, now moving on, I just wanted to show this because I thought it was really interesting. This is not going to be the start of a trend. Looks like it already is a trend. Moving on. Let's move on to these stories now that say that Harry and Meghan are showing signs that they might realize their Netflix deal is not going to last. Because besides the Netflix docuseries, The Heart of Invictus did not do well. The Live to Lead was barely a blip. The Pearl was thrown off the table. And people are like, what's going on? And what's being said is that everything with them is overly complicated because they want complete control. They want what they want. They won't take advice from anybody. And now it's coming out that they have no talent. And yeah, it's just not going well. Insiders from Netflix said that working with them on their docuseries was a absolute, and I'm using the word they did, nightmare. They made the collaborative process so hard there was no collaboration at all, which is why other projects apparently have not gotten off the ground. Let's not also forget that they've lost a BAFTA winning head of content, Ben Browning. They've lost production managers. All the good people that they hired have walked. Multiple insiders have said that Harry and Meghan have totally worn out their welcome in Hollywood, and the fact that they have a revolving door of executives and their lack of experience. I mean, even people in Archwell have said that the two of them are stubborn to the point of alienating others. So they got this great deal for Netflix, but they couldn't deliver. That's the problem. I think we all knew it wasn't going to go well. Yeah, I think the guy from Spotify really put his finger on it. Don't you guys agree? Because I do. All right, you guys, you know what I want. Put those comments down and make them good. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you've already subscribed, double check. Make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to go into the description box where you'll find the links to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. I will see you guys, unless you're on my Patreon, I'll see you back here on Friday. And as always, you guys, have a great day.